Hello and welcome back to the Coffee House. Pleasure to be back with you. I've got my little flat white with me, ready for this one. And I'm also joined by my friend and course mate, BigMacJack. Jack, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad. Thank you for having me on, Mal.
Anytime.
Yes, I'm loving what you're doing.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. And I'm loving what you're doing as well. I'm sure most people watching this probably know who you are already. Um, off your TikToks and your famous ice hockey podcast as well with your brother.
No, I mean, it's just the hockey community is so good. So yeah,
Yeah. Looks like it's going great, and yeah, big fan of what you're doing.
appreciate it.
But today on this episode, I thought let's have a chat about Man United because obviously you're a big Man United fan,
Yeah.
and things aren't quite plain sailing at the moment, are they? To say
No, it's not going great. Let's just say that ice hockey is bringing me more happiness than Man United at the moment. Yeah, we've lost 3 on the bounce now, is it? So yeah, things need to be turned around quickly.
definitely, yeah, definitely, and yeah. So I want this to be just sort of like a really free flowing discussion,
Yeah.
as the other ones have been on the pod so far. So let's just kick off and talk about just dive into what the causes of this sort of mini crisis, you could probably call it, are.
Yeah.
Um, so I've done a bit of research on at what the underlying sort of issues are. So we've got, well, first of all, we've got lots of injuries. We've got a
Yeah,
lot of,
12 injuries.
yeah. So you have things like that just can't be accounted for, and obviously it just comes down to luck, really.
Yeah.
And then you've got the off the pitch issues with Anthony, Sancho, stuff that Ten Hag can't really control. And to be
The
honest,
Greenwood situation as well.
yeah, absolutely. And you got to feel a bit for Ten Hag, I think. But what do you think is the main reason for this struggle at the start of the season?
I think there's a lot of factors. I think, as you said, injuries, it's not nice. And I think if you have the odd injury here and there, a couple players, but 12 injuries, you've got Wan-Bissaka's out now, and he was our starting right back. You've got Luke Shaw who's out. You've got we get Amrabat in on loan. He can't even start straight away. And that's probably our biggest struggle at the moment, getting a balanced midfield and helping Casemiro out, really. And then obviously you've got the Sancho situation, which doesn't help. You've got Anthony, who Ten Hag actually really likes. I think he trusts Anthony on that right wing spot. I know he gets memed a lot for not really producing the stats, and I think he can be a lot better. But that's another player which Ten Hag liked. And then we've just got, I think the only positive at the moment is really Højlund coming in, and he's looked really good. He's looked threatening. He had a goal ruled out at the weekend, but then he scored against Bayern, which was just a striker's finish, which I think we've missed the last couple of years. And then I know everyone mocks it, but the Glazers, it is a problem. They don't care about the club. They rarely come to a game. I think the only game they came to last season was that final. And I think they had to be there, really, because it was the first time we made a final for a while, and we actually did end up winning the trophy. But they just don't. They much more care about the American NFL club they're working with in America, and they like the franchise over there because it makes them more money. And Man United's big enough to make money because we are the biggest club in England.
Yeah.
And I think that they're not investing into the club. You look at Man City, you look at Newcastle, even Arsenal now. They're getting their owners put in a bit of money to help them get to where they need to. And I just think it's a lot of factors. I think if you go to Old Trafford, the Glazers out protests, even when we win, when we lose, when we draw, they're always going on. And I know we can't actually do anything about it. At the end of the day, it's them having to leave, but we've got to try and keep our voices heard and fight for something which we don't want them at the club. But yeah, loads of factors. And I just think it's a mess. I think United fans are quite impatient. I think a lot of the fan base is very impatient. You want results, and I know it's a results-based business, but yeah, a lot of stuff's going off. I do feel bad for Ten Hag at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, to me, I mean, with the Glazers out stuff, you only see it when you lose, don't you? Because that's when the media jump on it. When you're
Yeah.
winning, you're not going to see it, but it
I
does
was,
happen.
I was at Old Trafford last season, and I haven't actually seen us lose at Old Trafford yet. But when we were beating Chelsea 4-1, after every goal we score, there's always a Glazers out chant at the stadium. I think that's the stuff which people don't actually see. We had the pitch invasion where people ran onto the pitch in Old Trafford. Like the fans are making themselves heard, and as you said, the media know what they're doing. As soon as we lose a game, they'll then get all the stuff out. But hey, that's their business, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just on the Glazers as well. Like, how long they've been there? Like 15, 20 years.
Even when we were successful, they were there.
Yeah. You can see that they're. I don't think they'll be there for long, purely because of like the fan pressure and the way they're running the club. They're just not. If you've got a short-term view, you're not looking at the long-term success. You're going to make less profit, but they just want that short-term, quick money, don't they? Really?
Yeah, because they know Man United's going to make that no
Yeah.
matter whether they stay or go. Is that the United fans are still going to buy the stuff? We're worldwide, and you look at Todd Bowley. I know a lot of people have a go at him. He's not a massive football fan, but he still comes to a lot of the Chelsea games, and he's put his money towards a club to try and help them succeed. And I think that's just what Man United fans want: an owner who wants to come in, who puts some money towards the club and help us get better again.
Yeah. Hopefully, a bit more sensible than Todd Bowley.
But I think it is more than just the owners as well, though, because the wage structures are a joke. We're giving players so much money, and that's why I think we struggle to sell players on, because other teams can't afford to give that player those high wages. And you look at, I know a lot of people take the mick out of 80 million for Maguire, 90 million for Anthony, or 80 million for Anthony. All of these big prices, 70 million for Casemiro, who's coming up to his early 30s. And you can tell this season he's getting on. There's so many factors, and the people deciding these prices and stuff. Man United just get taken the mick. Like, clubs know they can use them for money, because it's a mess, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think this is a short term sort of blip, or do you think this is something that could go on all season, could go on for a couple of years, maybe?
It's up and down, really, because last season I thought we obviously we won a trophy last season, and it was quite positive. I think there was a lot of positivity going through the team. I think some of the players were up for it. A lot of them were up for it as well. New manager, they want to impress the manager. I just think, it's been difficult with all the situations. I think it will get better when we get a few players back. I think when we see Amrabat come in, when we see Højlund start getting regular games. But it's a roller coaster, man. I think it's going to continue like that. And as you said, I hope the Glazers go out soon, and get those Saudi owners in, Qatari owners.
Yeah. Let's talk about a bit about the way that United have been playing this season.
Yeah,
because I mean the first game was Wolves, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was not convincing.
I mean that was not. Yeah, you were very lucky to get anything from that game, to be honest.
Yeah.
But more recently, you switched it up. You had the diamond against Brighton, which looked okay for the first minutes, but then Brighton switched something and just kind of took you apart again. But I mean, it's early days with that one, and it looked okay. I think it looked okay.
And then he didn't carry it on for the game against Bayern. So it's one of them. And I don't know if it's the players not buying into the way he's playing, if they're not actually sticking to the tactics throughout the whole game. Because I think with tactics, especially when you're implementing them right at the start, it isn't gonna work sometimes. You got to accept that. And I think the last two games, as you said, we've been really good the first 15, 20 minutes. And then we've had that goal go in, and the Bayern one, it's a mistake. But instead of actually keep on going and, all right, we can get back into this, it's literally 20 minutes in, we've conceded. The heads just drop, and then before you know it, it's 2-0 down, 3-0 down. It's game over, really, and you're finding yourself having to come back. And I think Ten Hag is to blame in some things. I think tactically, some of the times he has made the wrong decision, and he's not fully to be let off the hook. I'm not Ten Hag out, and I think a lot of Man United fans reactionary are Ten Hag out, which is silly, because what do you do if you sack him? Who do you bring in? Like, it's just going to be another roller coaster again. So I think you've got to stick it out. Hopefully, we get a few players back. And the players have just got to buy into what he wants to do. And if it doesn't work over a long season, then you can start having discussions about it.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about Ten Hag then, because I mean, he's getting there with the squad building, isn't he? He's struggled to shift a lot of dead words, like Maguire refusing to leave, McTominay couldn't go in the end, which meant Amrabat just came in at the last minute and he's injured.
On
So he's on
loan as well. It's not even a perm.
On loan,
He's
yeah.
on loan.
Yeah. I mean, he'll sign permanently, won't he? But
yeah, hopefully, if there's no big injuries or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. But do you think? I think he's been let down a lot by individuals on the pitch. I mean, and off the pitch, to be honest. Like the stuff with Sancho is just, it's just so unnecessary, isn't it?
And if that's true, he's apparently he's playing pro clubs. I knew he's out the squad, but apparently he's playing pro clubs just before Man United were playing Bayern. It's like, and he's on 350k a week as well.
Yeah, and it's not like Ten Hag's been treated him terribly. Like he sent him away on that training camp for a few months, didn't he, to like sort himself out and like, anyways, I think he's been let down a lot by individuals on the pitch, and he's not there with his squad yet. Building a squad takes time. I mean, United fans, I know they're impatient, but that comes with having success in the past. You want it. Once you've had that taste, you want it to come quick and fast. But like, look at Klopp. How long did it take him to challenge for a title? 3 seasons, 4 seasons? Yeah. Arteta, his first season anywhere near the top 2 or 3 of the league, was his 3rd in charge now. Yeah. And he's still like it. He still wasn't there with his squad last year. Like this summer is when he's really got there, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, what do you think? Do you think it's the individuals that
I think it doesn't help if the players aren't buying in for it for a whole 90 minutes. And maybe that's why he's making loads of changes each game. You're seeing different lineups. You want to be able to know which team is going to put out rather than it being a guessing game, because that shows that the same team is buying into it and they're all performing well. But I think, as I said earlier, I think some of the blame has to go on Ten Hag. You look at Spurs Ange Postecoglou is a prime example of players buying into the way he wants to play and the tactics. You can clearly see on the pitch that Spurs have changed the way they've played from last season to this season, and they're getting the results for it. So I think it's a bit of both. I think tactical, maybe Ten Hag doesn't know how to. This season, I think I've been shocked at how much of a drop-off Casemiro has had. And I think every team is just targeting our midfield every single time. They're running through them. The midfield stats, they don't look good in every single game we play. So, I'm interested to see what Amrabat does. But again, they've got to buy into the way Ten Hag wants to play.
Yeah, I think Amrabat's going to be crucial. Like, if you look at goals against so there's Odegaard's goal when you played Arsenal. You had the goal yesterday with, I think it was Gnabry, where it got cut back, and the midfield's nowhere to be seen, is it? And Casemiro can't do that on his own. No. He used to be that linchpin for Real Madrid, but whether it's the legs or him wanting to get forward more, then you just can't do it. So Amrabat's going to be crucial, and you just got to have patience. I think really got to have patience. But on the individuals, are there any? Where do you think needs improving the most? If you could go into the market tomorrow, which positions would you prioritize and target?
Oh, it's a good question. I think defense. We've had a lot of injuries, and you look at the game against Arsenal having to bring on Evans and Maguire, and I'm not actually fully against what Ten Hag did there. I know they ended up scoring a deflection off Evans, but he's got no one else to bring on. He wanted to bring on a big player to hopefully head out the set pieces, and it didn't work. And in hindsight, he probably shouldn't have done it, but. Yeah, our depth in centre-backs, Varane's always getting injured. Martinez hasn't looked the same since his injury. So I think we should have got if I could, I'd get a big centre-back to come in who can lead that back four, I think, with Onana in goal. And I still look at that front three and I'm like, I can't see it balanced. I can't see that balanced front three. Pellistri, I think it needs a bit more time for him to start. And I think this is the thing. They need a successive run of games to actually get used to it and prove themselves. But I think if we're bringing Højlund in, who is a number 9, he's not a Gabriel Jesus who can do a bit more and complement Saka and Martinelli. He's a number 9. I think you need Rashford's a bit selfish sometimes. I think he's always been that player because he is very skillful and he's a goal scorer as well. I think you need a more creative player on the right. And with Anthony being out, if I had to buy someone now, I'd definitely get a right winger who's a bit more creative.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think players have got to know their roles. And I think in this system that they're playing right now, whether it's what you said, players buying into it, they've just got to know what they're doing. I think people are looking really just caught in no man's land a lot of the time, whether that's the centre mids or it's the fullbacks. I think, I think Ten Hag's got to either go, he's got to go all in with this diamond formation, or just stick it out with the wingers.
Yeah.
But then you need the depth in the wing, as you're saying. That's why you need those players.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Mason Mount come in on the right. I know he's not. There was rumours on it on Twitter before I come on here, actually, that he might be tried out on the right against Burnley, and that wouldn't surprise me at all, really. You just pack the midfield, like you said, the diamond, and you have Amrabat and Casemiro. You have Bruno and Mount, who can do the little creative work going forward, and then you've got Rashford and Højlund. And if he wants to do that, I think he's got to stick with it, like you said, and let it progress. I think, and those players have got to get used to playing that way. But as I said, with Ange, he's got the players playing, and it's getting them results. So we need to do the same, really, because we've got quite a nice fixture run for the next few games.
Yeah. To be honest, that's something I had in my notes, actually. The teams you've been struggling against, apart from Wolves, they're all very good teams.
They are, especially in midfield.
Yeah, precisely. So you got obviously Bayern, you still scored 3 against them, in fairness. And then you got Brighton, who are one of the best teams in the league. The only reason people don't put them in that top 4 in their predictions is because they're called Brighton. Realistically, they're a very good team.
And the names on paper aren't these people who are already nuts players. He progresses them. And I think Brighton are able to do that. With Man United, it's so cutthroat. You're not able to bring these types of players in because you want players there and now. So,
yeah, that's true. Very true. Speaking of those players that are there and now, can we touch on Onana a little bit?
Yes, we can.
It's an interesting case, isn't he? So I think he's a very good keeper. Like, it's clear to see what he did at Inter last year was brilliant.
It's got to a Champions League final.
Exactly, yeah. And he was great at Ajax. And there's a lot of emphasis on keepers playing with their feet, and he's brilliant at that. He's really brilliant at that. But you've got to be a good shot stopper as well. And I'm not saying he's not a good shot stopper, but he's had his moments, hasn't he?
He has. And I think that's a lot of pressure's come onto that as well. And I think he's handling the pressure in a better way. He's like, just a little example, he came out and volunteered to speak to the press and say, look, it was my fault. I made a mistake. I need to be better. So I think he's trying to handle that pressure. But as you said, it's we haven't had any problems playing out from the back. I looked at this stat. I think I did a TikTok on it yesterday about how we are the second lowest team of punting the ball long from goal kick. So we're really hammering in on trying to play out the back, which is a much improvement from last season. But he has let a few howlers in, and hopefully that's just a few cobwebs at the start of his United career.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to take time, isn't it? It's a new way of playing for the whole team with a keeper like that behind you. And you can see, like, the chemistry isn't quite there between him and the centre-backs. It's going to take time. And you can't be reactionary. It's been, 6 games? 5 games in the league? It's going to take time. Looking forward positively now, what things are you sort of holding on to that give you hope for the rest of the season? What can you look at and think?
The main one is that we've got players to come back from injury. I really, although Reguilon's been really good, and I think he's an example. He's coming from Spurs. He's not been playing at Spurs. He's come in and he's worked his ass off, and he's been one of our players who's tried the most. So I think that speaks volume, really. But Luke Shaw's going to be key coming back. I think Amrabat's going to be key. And the thing I get excited about is just Højlund. I think He's just got
Yeah,
that
yeah.
presence. He just looks like the man. He just, yeah, he looks scary. If I was an opposition, I
Mm.
would pinpoint him as the one to look out for. So Hoyland's definitely a positive. And as I said, we got a nice set of fixtures coming up, and we should be able to take quite a few points from these, and hopefully get ourselves back on the right track. And then when we do get a few difficult fixtures, I think coming up to Christmas, it will put us in good shape. But yeah, we got to knuckle down on beating those top teams away, because that was not very good last season.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, Hoyland looks really exciting, I think. He looks like he's got something to prove, and
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the types of players that United need to go for.
Hmm.
I think there's been a lot of times in the past where you've got players who are already, whether it's abroad or in England, like they don't feel like they've got a lot to prove yet
Like
at that
Sancho
point. So
probably is a key example of
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. You got Sancho. Obviously, Casemiro rightly doesn't need to prove anything because of what he's done in his career. Pogba, when he came in,
Mm-hmm.
like people just come in and think, "Oh, I'm at Man United now. I've I've done it." You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But then you've got
yeah.
the players like Hoyland, and I mean, I can't think of any others off the top of my head.
He's young. That's the big thing for me. It's not
Yeah,
another old striker. Like, we've brought in Ronaldo, we've brought in Cavani, we've brought in Weghorst. These aren't young, hungry players.
mm,
This is Hoyland is that young player, and we haven't had a young striker since Martial, really, when he was actually all right when he first came in. But we haven't had
yeah,
that young, hungry striker who is a number nine. He is a number nine, and that's
yeah,
why you've got to give him the support. And I think Ten Hag's got to realize that maybe he needs to adapt the way he goes forward, having these four creative midfielders or four midfielders to give the chances to Hoyland up front.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, even people like Reguilon coming in as well. Like
Yeah,
he was deemed not wanted at Spurs. He's got something to prove,
yeah.
and he's come in and he's played as if he looks hungry. He looks like
Going
he's
forward, he
doing
looks
stuff.
really, really good, actually.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah, but Hoyland looks great. Hoyland looks really good. I think with most of the things that we've said already, like it's going to take time. The
Yeah,
movement between him and Rashford and whoever ends up playing on the right and Bruno, they just got to learn each other's games. And
yeah.
Hoyland started 2 games now, I think. Like it's
2 games.
obviously going to take a bit of time, isn't it?
Yeah, and he
Um,
apparently he has got a little back. He's still not recovering, but he's still got that little back problem which he had before he started these games. So he's got to be careful as well. I think that's maybe why Ten Hag's been substituting him, just to keep him safe. Because if he gets injured, then we really are in trouble.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. In terms of the winger position, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Sancho and Anthony.
Yes.
With Sancho, do you think he's done? Do you think that's it now?
I think from the stuff I've seen, and nothing's come out now since he put that big quote on Twitter, I can't see it getting sorted. He hasn't been included in the squad. He didn't travel to Bayern. I don't think he'll be in the squad for Burnley. So maybe we're looking at a January transfer, and I think we could get a decent amount of money for him, because I still think there is a player in Sancho.
Yeah, yeah, for
We
sure.
saw that at Dortmund. The stats don't lie. The way he played doesn't lie. I just think he's found it a bit tough for Manchester United. Maybe the responsibility, and maybe there's an attitude problem there as well, in terms of he thinks maybe he should be starting, and you've got a battle for your position no matter what team you're in. So yeah, I think it
Yeah,
could be
and
done now.
yeah, yeah. I think I agree. To be honest, he's been given the time. He's had 2 seasons now, and he just hasn't hit the ground running, has he? At any point, really? Um,
There's a lot of stuff we don't see behind the scenes, and I think
yeah,
maybe some of that stuff is the reason, because a lot of fans have been questioning, why is Sancho not starting this game? Why has Sancho not been starting some of these games of past years? Maybe there's stuff which us fans haven't been able to see in training, and even Solskjaer, actually. I read this because Solskjaer, managers have to sign, I've forgotten what it's called, but they're not allowed to speak a couple of years after they've been sacked. Solskjaer's one has ran out, and he came out and released a lot of quotes. And apparently, he said that Sancho's more of a left winger, and Rashford plays that position. So our recruitment has actually thought that Sancho, who predominantly prefers being a left winger, should have been our right winger spot. So it's just a mess, yeah. And I think there is some sort of issues off the pitch. Otherwise, he would have been played a bit more.
Yeah, I think he's had that previously as well. I think people that worked with him when he was at City, when he was younger, have said there's a bit of an issue there. And I mean, like, Ten Hag's not going to take any crap, is he? He's shown that with Ronaldo, of all people. So, I mean, Sancho, if he's messing around, Ten Hag's not going to have it, is he?
I think people are too soft now in football. I think it is a brutal game. It is. Look back in the day, Sir Alex Ferguson was brutal, and I think he did some stuff which was nuts and left players out the squad and stuff. So, and you look at Pep Guardiola with Cancelo, he was gone straight away. He gave him his loan spell and he was gone, and now he's at where is he? Is he at Barcelona?
He's at Barcelona,
yeah. So he's at Barcelona, and that was done. The media didn't really hound into it, but because it's Man United, I think they really can get some stories out of it, and it is a mess, but we just got to move on from it now, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think he needs that fresh start as well.
Yeah.
I think he'll do him good. Yeah, he just needs to get out there and try somewhere new.
Yeah.
See how he gets on.
Maybe that's in another league. Maybe he can't, because I think in the Premier League, you see what type of wingers are the ones would you say that are successful in the Premier League?
What do you mean in the way?
The type of wingers. So you look at Diaby, he's just run at the defender. He's got pace. He'll go. You look at Luis Diaz, he's run at the defenders. Martinelli, Rashford. Those are the type of wingers now, which I think you have to have in the Premier League. And I think, Sancho hasn't got that burst of pace, and we haven't seen enough from him doing that.
Yeah. You've got to have that. You've got to have that tenacity and the confidence to take people on like those players you just mentioned, and he hasn't had that at any point in those past two seasons. So yeah, exactly. Do you think, would you persist with playing wingers, or would you go to that diamond formation and go all in, see how it goes?
I'm not sure, because what we played against Bayern, I don't know what it was really, but it didn't work. I think 4-3 flatters us, really. I think we got absolutely dominated. Musiala had a field day in that midfield, really getting in them pockets of spaces. And I think if we really want to hammer down on getting that midfield sorted, maybe you can play that diamond formation for a few games if you get Amrabat in, because he is a ball of energy. I can't say I've watched him loads, but the times I have seen him, he has been very energetic. So hopefully he'll complement Casemiro. But maybe that's a reason why Ten Hag has signed Mason Mount. Maybe he's had this idea of playing this diamond or four midfielders so he can utilise Mount and Bruno in the same team. Maybe we'll have to see. But I would persist with it. Rashford has played up front before. Maybe it'll be a different kind of forward role for Rashford in terms of he can use his pace in behind, but he's also got to try and help out Højlund a bit. So I'd persist with it and see how it is with Mount and Amrabat.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, I really like the diamond formation, to be honest. I think that could work. Like it with what you said, so Amrabat coming in and maybe Mason Mount as well. That could work really well. Amrabat's just got it. His recovery is really good, which none of your midfield has shown yet. And
they're slow. Tracking back is not very good for Erik.
That edge of the box.
Eriksen's gone through a lot. Like I'm not expecting him to be able to, but some of the times there has been times where it has just been you lose the ball instead of just going, I've lost the ball. You have to track back, and that's got to be your first thought. And I think we will see that with Amrabat and Mason Mount as well. What would you say his main strength at Chelsea? It's probably his work rate and being able to run up and down the pitch. So that'll be very important as well if we're going to play this diamond formation. So I'm excited for Mount to come back, and I'm not sure if they will start at the weekend. We'll have to see. I think they'll be on the bench. But I'm going to be at Palace, Man United next week. So if there's a game for them to get introduced in, I can definitely see it at the cup game.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think there's cause to be excited still with those players
Mhm.
coming in. Amrabat's going to suit you really well. Mason Mount, to be honest, what you said about the playing him out on the right, I
Yeah.
don't mind that at all, actually,
No.
because he'll get a lot more freedom going forward, especially with Amrabat coming in. It's going to give him less responsibility defensively because sitting next to Casemiro in that double pivot, it's not his best position, is it?
No.
I know he's got the energy, but he doesn't want to do
It's
that track
he
back. He
wants to
doesn't
go
want to do
forward.
exactly. Yeah,
You look at the stats he had a few seasons ago in that attacking role for Chelsea. I think it was 10 goals, 11 assists. Like he is a forward thinking person, but he does track back as well, which is key. So yeah,
yeah,
I wouldn't be against playing him on the right until things get sorted. But we don't know how long this Anthony situation is going to go on for, do we?
yeah. Hopefully not too long. Hopefully
No.
not too long.
I
Yeah.
reckon. Well, I'm not going to say I reckon he's innocent, but hopefully he is innocent and nothing's happened.
Yeah, of course. Of course, of course. Yeah. Well, looking forward for the rest of the season. Where do you think United will finish? How do you think you'll get a
I'm s-
trophy?
I'm
Do you
s-
think you'll get top four? What do you reckon?
I'm still confident we can get top four. I think it's very early days. What 5 games in,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think other teams are going to have times where it will be tough. And we have gone through our. Hopefully, this is the final stage where we get a lot of injuries. And I'm not just blaming injuries, but every team gets injuries at some point in the season, and hopefully this point is the time we get it.
Yeah,
But no, I'm still confident we can get. Well, it's top 5 now, isn't it? Really for Champions League. So I'm
yeah,
confident we
yeah,
can get that Champions League spot. And Ten Hag does play strong teams in cup competitions, whether it's the Carabao or the FA Cup. So hopefully we can push to another final. I enjoyed that last season.
yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, I think we pretty much covered everything there, Jack.
Yeah,
I think we did. Yeah.
I was going to ask, what do you? We'll end it by what do you expect Man United by the end of the season? Do you think we still can get top 5?
I think you can, absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is probably the best time to have those injury issues right at the start of the season, get them out of the
Yeah,
way. Because, as you said, other teams will have that. And things are going to take time. I think the ruthlessness that Ten Hag has shown with individuals means that this off the pitch stuff won't last long.
hopefully not.
You've still got January to bring in recruits as well if you need to, which you probably
And
will.
hopefully ship players off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think players need to know their roles, and that comes with playing in those roles more, sticking with it, and taking time playing with each other more. Because you've still got new players that have come in
Yeah,
who, like Onana and those defenders. It's going to take a lot of games for them to get used to each other.
yeah,
Hoyland, his movement with the others, as we've said, is going to take time, and I
yeah.
think you just need patience. I think Ten Hag is 100% the right man for the job. If he did go, like, it would just be
What would
ridiculous.
we do from there? But there needs to be a change within the back staff room
Yeah.
personnel discussing the transfer deals, all of that. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I'd love to see new owners come in who do care about the club. That's probably how I'd end it.
Yeah. I think the trajectory you're going, maybe not top four. I think top five,
Yeah,
absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying you can't get fourth. I think it's absolutely on the cards, but
it depends
I'd
how
say,
other teams do as well.
yeah, I'd say fourth, fifth, sixth. You'll be around there.
Mhm.
But yeah, nothing to worry about. I don't think. I think Ten Hag shouts are absolutely ludicrous at this point. But yeah, any more you want to touch on quickly before we
Nah,
wrap up?
I've just got to try and stay positive and yeah, it is hard, and I'm not going to try and be one of them reactionary fans because I don't think that gets you
Mm,
anywhere. With 5 games in, you've still got 33 games to go. So yeah,
absolutely.
just got to give it time, and hopefully we'll see some positives. And if not, then you can have me back on at the end of the season. I'll just rant the whole 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. I'll have you back for the reaction when Ten Hag gets sacked.
Oh.
Joking, of course,
I
of course.
appreciate you having me on, Mount.
Yeah. Anytime. Jack, where can people find you? What do you want to plug?
Yeah, just my TikTok because my other one got banned. So BigMacJack, 3Ks and a 7. because I can't have my other username because the account's blocked. So yeah, but
Yeah,
I appreciate it, and yeah, good luck with the rest of your podcast. I'm enjoying it.
Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please make sure to check out the other episodes as well. They're still pretty relevant despite being out a few weeks ago. So yeah, feel free to check them out. Make sure to like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Give us a follow on Spotify as well if you're listening on there. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.